when it comes to Todd Monken, there are a lot of people that have had conversations about him. What do you love about him?
Well, I love pretty much everything about Bunk, and what you guys should be loving about him is he's a Chicagoland native, man. The Monken name is big in Chicago. They're a whole family of high school football coaches coming out of that area, and very proud of it. So Monk's an excellent football coach, and you guys would be very happy if you got him.
Yeah, there's a lot of players from around Chicagoland on these Bears, Cole Kmet and TJ Edwards, and there's a whole bunch of them. So having a coach with local ties, with that famous name as you're talking about, would be fun. It's interesting. Tell us what you think his mindset is as an offensive coordinator, and maybe it's evolved because all you offensive schemers, you evolve with the game as the league evolves, don't you?
Well, I guarantee you what's on his mind is one word, and that's attack. Now, how you go about attacking, that's you used the word evolved. I think that's one of Todd's biggest strengths is if you follow his career, he has really evolved based on what type of personnel he has, whether he's at the highest of the high college teams and winning 2 national championships at Georgia, or whether he's the Ravens offensive coordinator coaching Lamar Jackson. He's going to incorporate the type of schemes needed to fit his personnel. That's what every team should be doing, but not every team is doing that.
From what you've seen with his interaction with Lamar Jackson, how it's manifested on the field, I mean, the MVP award is enough validation, but from a coach's eye, how would you say he's had an impact on helping Lamar reach his full potential?
Yeah, well, obviously I'm not there every day, so I'm not an expert on this subject, but I have heard quotes from Lamar Jackson this season saying how comfortable he is being in the second season with Todd in that system, and how the game slowed down for him, how he's seeing the field better. Obviously, he's making great decisions, and the numbers he put up this year are unprecedented anywhere in the NFL. You guys in Chicago, you've got a quarterback that's got, some would say, a similar skill set.
Yeah, I think Lamar is obviously just such a special talent, and just an incredible year again. As we're talking with Dirk Koetter here on the Spiegel and Holmes Show, to help us with this, Dirk, the way that Todd runs so much with Derrick Henry and with Lamar, and yet Lamar still puts up these huge numbers. There seems to be a rededication in the run game, perhaps league-wide, but certainly there in Baltimore. How does leaning on the run that much make it possible for your quarterback to be as effective as Lamar is?
Yeah, well, you're making it sound much more complicated than it really is. If you interview any defensive coordinator or any defensive head coach in the world, they're going to say, first and foremost, they need to stop the run. No defense wants to get beat by being run on. And so if you can establish the run, you don't even have to be a dominating run team, but if you can just establish the run, that helps your O-lineman in protection. That helps create separation between the DBs and the linebackers. It gives your quarterback more room to throw, especially against zone coverage. Your run game definitely makes your play action, your bootleg game. It keeps you ahead of the chains. No offensive coach wants to be in 3rd and 6+ all day. So your run game is obviously a quarterback's best friend.
So, but can offensive coordinators forget that from time to time? We seem to have one, or I guess we've had a lot of them through the years, that seem to forget that and just want to cut to being able to throw it to wide receiver talent over and over.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think we've all been guilty of that, me included. And, throwing is the sexy part of it, designing cool pass routes and different protections and pick routes, high-lows, over-unders, flood routes, 3-level concepts, 4 verticals. Everybody loves the passing game. But the running game, I think that also comes with experience. And, here Todd's sitting there now at 58 years old. He's not a young guy anymore. And he's seen, especially these last few years in Baltimore and at the University of Georgia, he's seen what the run game can do and how it can translate into wins and losses.
Being a coordinator versus being a head coach, you've gone through this too. What's the biggest adjustment that one has to have when they make that jump from running one side of the ball versus running a team? And how do you think Todd can navigate that?
Yeah, I think that's the challenge for every coordinator when he becomes a head coach, is all of a sudden you're in charge of everything. That's definitely an adjustment. Now, Todd's had head coaching experience at Southern Miss in the college game, but you look at all the candidates out there, and candidates really are falling into one of two categories. Coordinators with no experience as a head coach, or former head coaches that may or may not have been a play caller at their previous stop. It's definitely an adjustment, but once again, Monk comes from a coaching family. He's been a head coach. Also, I think right now in his last 2 years with the Ravens, he's learning from one of the 2 or 3 best coaches in the NFL in John Harbaugh. And, John Harbaugh has more of a special teams background back when he was with Andy Reid with the Eagles. But I think you have to learn about delegation. And, when you're with a strong head coach like Monk is in Baltimore right now, that helps you also learn, and you prepare for when you get your next opportunity.
So, Dirk, we heard from a friend of ours in the media who used to cover Todd Monken that Todd is one of the great cursors of all head coaches, just an all-time, a legend in the cursing game.
Hey, do we understand the thing here? When I'm talking, shut up.
So that's from Hard Knocks a few years back. Can you confirm his ability as a cursor for us?
Well, let me say it this way. Todd is a fiery competitor. And in my opinion, that's what you want. That's what you want as a head coach.
Dirk Koetter joining us here on the Spiegel Holmes Show.
Oh, man.
You had to deal with what's going on here in Chicago. You had a one-of-one quarterback with Jameis Winston. How do you think quarterbacks need to be developed? And when you look at Caleb Williams, what are the things that you see in him as a prospect?
I'm certainly not an expert. I mean, I was busy coaching a different team this year, so I didn't get to watch that much. So I'd love to be able to have the time to go in and watch all the games and give you a better answer. But Caleb Williams was the consensus number 1 pick for a reason. And one thing I think that happens to these guys, I don't know if this is the case with Caleb. I think it was with Jameis. Jameis was on great teams at Florida State, and they were so talented at Florida State. When he came out, he could get careless with the ball at Florida State, and they could still overcome it with their talent on both sides of the ball and win games. You can't do that in the NFL. If you're careless with the football, your team's going to lose. I mean, that's just plain and simple. If you're careless with the football, because these defenses are just too good, and they're too good at taking the ball away. So I think it takes these guys, sometimes it takes them a little bit of time, a little bit of experience to understand that they don't have to always win the game for their team, but they absolutely cannot lose the game for their team.
Dirk, we like to think that we've gotten smarter. I like to think that we've gotten smarter about watching young quarterbacks after 3 years of Mitch Trubisky and 3 years of Justin Fields and now a year of Caleb Williams, and just watching the installation of an offense. But it is amazing. The NFL still struggles with scouting and developing quarterbacks, and it's the most important thing in all of sports. Why does the NFL struggle as much as they do, you think?
That is an excellent question. I mean, the stats are out there that those first-round quarterbacks are below 50% hit rate. It is the hardest position to play. I mean, that's why it's also the highest paid. There's a lot put on the guy, the quarterback, the head coach, the offensive coordinator. They're all tied at the hip. A lot of times when these quarterbacks come into the league, and especially when they're asked to play early, they're coming in on bad teams. All right, the teams that draft first are the worst teams. So many times, they don't have the proper protection. They might not have the right system in place yet. Now, there was 2 rookie quarterbacks this year that came in and played fantastic. The guy for the Commanders and the guy for the Broncos both played great this year. Yeah, I can't give you one specific thing that says why the hit rate is below 50%. You can't give you that.
Here we are a decade or so later, and Mike Evans is still out here doing work. How remarkable is it that he's still this player this late in his career? Yeah,
it really is. I mean, it's only been done obviously by one other player. I was texting with Mike the other night after he got his 11th straight 1,000-yard season, and Mike Evans, he's a special talent. You know, he's got great size, he's got great speed, huge catch radius, tough, doesn't miss very many games. But he's also an awesome person, and he's a very competitive person. And one thing in those clips you played, I hope you guys will go back and take note of this. One of the things Mike Evans said about Todd Monken is that Monk made him uncomfortable every day and pushed him to work harder. Okay, that's a great player like Mike saying that. And the best players I've been around in my career, they want to be coached, and they want to be coached hard. They don't want to be treated badly. I mean, they don't want to be just BS'd around. They want them to tell them the truth. But if great players have a coach that they feel like can make them better, they're all in on that. I haven't met many that aren't like that. And Mike Evans definitely has that quality. And I think Todd Monken also has that as a coach.
Boy, that's good stuff. That's where the growth is when you're uncomfortable, right? That's how you get better. And we've learned from the way the coach and quarterback dynamic has gone this year that you gotta push him. All right, at the risk of ruining what has been a lovely visit, because this has been a lot of fun, Dirk.
Don't ruin it, then. Don't ruin it. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
All right. No, I'm having a good day, so if you're thinking about ruining my day, forget about it.
I don't think this would do it.
Well, your judgment is not great today, so maybe we should move on.
Should I hold back? All right.
Well, how about this? I'll try something.
All right, you try something.
Dirk, you and I are connected. I am a disciple of John Wren.
Oh, that is awesome, because John Wren, that's who you should call it. There's another Chicagoland excellent football coach who took it from Chicago to the Phoenix, Arizona area, and his claim to fame is coaching Terrell Suggs and driving him to Saturday school to get him eligible, and then becoming one of the greatest NFL pass rushers of all time. John Wren, I hired him at Arizona State as my running back coach. Good man, even better football coach, and now he's just a real good grandpa.
Yeah, he is. He loves his life out in the desert, but he is partly the reason that I actually work here.
So Homewood Flossmoor head coach?
Yeah, the head coach at HF, and he won a title here, then won 3 in Chandler State, and then he was working for Dirk. He was a running backs coach, and I got a chance to go down there and see him a little bit when I was down in Arizona. Just one of the most important people in my life. So I'm glad.
Yeah, excellent man.
I agree wholeheartedly. See, this is the way.
Yeah, that was better.
Yeah, that's way better way. If you were going to ruin my day, now I'm feeling good about myself right now.
Good.
Heck, I might even give John Wren a call.
There you go. Yeah, I'm not going to mention the Mitch Trubisky game where he threw the 6 touchdowns. I'm not going to do that.
Oh my God, that's the game where after the game they asked me if our D coordinator Mike Smith should be fired. And I said we all should be fired after that. That was pathetic. And I caught a lot of flack for that. But, I mean, the truth hurts sometimes. Like, we absolutely stunk it up that day. And they kept running wheel routes on us and wheel routes into the boundary. They must have scored 4 touchdowns on that. And, like, we couldn't do anything on offense that day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that would have ruined my day.
Yeah.
I'm not going to think about that at all.
Good.
I'm going to think about the Ravens, Todd Monken, and I'm going to think about John Wren the rest of the day.
There you go. That's much better.
It's magic today. It's Trubisky magic.
Oh, yes. We're sorry, Coach. We're sorry. So, is this it for you? You just retired after an unbelievable run, right? You're done at Boise State?
42 years, man. 42 years. That's a lot of football teams.
Wow.
And I've got a daughter that's the head volleyball coach at the University of Wyoming. I've got a son that's a quality control coach down at the University of Texas. 2 other great kids. We're going to just watch them do it from now on.
That's awesome. Well, if Todd comes back here, we'll be in touch. But maybe even if not, because talking offensive football and the way that it evolves really interests us, and we enjoyed this a hell of a lot, Coach.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on.
You got it. That's Dirk Koetter.